Hello and welcome to the Chapter 6 teaser. Today what I want to do is show you basically two different things you could be looking for in Chapter 6. One is the skiff, which is being able to take in serial input from your keyboard. And the other one is to be able to do modular or tabular programming so we can have very organized sketches where you don't have to have everything here on this one main sketch. You can move it to other tabs and then still be able to use those or even move them to other programs, which makes things really, really useful. So basically, to start off the skiff is going to allow you to take input from your keyboard, which is going to be really important for a number of different reasons. And it's very cool because you can now interact with the real world and be able to communicate. So here what I've done is I've written a sketch. The introduction here in the setup is what you're probably already familiar with. And in the loop, I have created a series of variables here. I'm going to be collecting data from the keyboard, from myself. I'm going to look for the name. I'm going to do a calculation for the period of a pendulum, so I want the length of that pendulum. It's going to ask me how old I am. And it's going to do a couple of calculations and output an answer, including, for example, how long the pendulum has to swing if it swings once for every year that I'm alive. So what we've got here is a series of questions, some echoing of variables, and the use of the skiff. Now, I should show you this. Let's jump briefly to the skiff itself. I have the skiff here on another tab. Okay. Now, there's a lot of code here. The text explains how to do this very well. If you're an intensive student, I would recommend actually understanding how this actually works. But Chris was really awesome, and he did actually put it all here for you for downloads. You can find this link in Canvas, or you can just go to PC Arduino downloads and be able to find it. What I did is I actually went to the text and I simply copied all of this code and pasted it into my new one. And when I say I pasted it into a new one, what I mean to say is that I made a new tab and pasted it into that. But that's covered in the chapter, so carefully read that and know how to do it. But once I've done that, I have all that code here available for me to use. I've got read string, I've got read float, I've got read int for read integer, and I've got read byte, and I've got read character. Okay. In my main code here, I'm going to use only three of those. I'm going to use read string, read integer, and read float. So you can see that I've created some variables. All right, I've got your name, age, and pen length right here. And then I've made calls to the skiff, okay, that is going to be asking the skiff to be able to take advantage of its coding to gather data for me. And of course, I'm appropriately echoing it. So if I run this code, you'll see that it does some cool things. I actually could have just went with it, but here we go. It's going to do first, it's going to ask me my name, and I'll type it in, hit enter. I echo my variable. It's going to ask me another question. How old am I? And I need the length of a pendulum in meters. I'm going to make one that's 1.2 meters long. And you can see that it then goes ahead and outputs all this information in a really wonderful way. It gives me a complete set of calculations and output. All of that is spelled out here in this text. The calculations, the mathemagic, I'm not going to show you. For those of you who are intensive students, you should be sort of familiar with the non-void function. I did those off screen, both of those, and then I've called it back to my main code here. Excuse me. Set it equal to variables that I created and simply output them. So hopefully this will give you some focus as to what you're going to be looking for, and I will see you again soon.